The story took a weird turn when I found myself reincarnated as a villainous supporting guy, and things were already wrapping up. I found myself in not one, but two novels, and both had death fake scheduled for the same day. Right now, a kidnapper was dragging me and my first love to the edge of a cliff, with a sharp knife pointed at my throat. You can only choose one, the heroine yelled anxiously. Let Gary go. My first love smirked at me with a triumphant look. You're just a compromise from Tina's youth. In Tina's heart, I'm number one. Sweat trickled down my forehead as I glanced at my watch. Just an hour until my next villainous role. Time was running out. Through tears, I furiously nodded. Yes, you're always number one. So, miss, hurry up. I've got another death scene to catch. The waves at the cliff's bottom crashed madly against the rocks, drowning out my voice. The kidnapper wasn't moved, shouting at the top of his lungs instead. I said, you can release one, then give me $1 million. The other one, once I find a safe place, I'll let them go. If you dare to call the police, I'll kill them. Seizing the opportunity, I cut in quickly. If you've got the guts, do it now. Kidnapper, do I need your instructions? I glanced at the sheer drop behind me. The waters below were tumultuous, seemingly bottomless. I don't think you have the guts. Want to say it again? I edged my neck closer to the knife. You don't have the guts to kill. Say it again if you dare. Loser, you don't have the guts to kill. I shouted 3 more times, parched mouth and unwavering voice. The kidnapper was taken aback. Suddenly, he pulled back the knife, realizing I might just be all too ready. Standing not far off, Tina snorted. Harry, is this supposed to scare Gary? You're such a drama king, always fighting for my attention. Let me tell you, Gary is the most important man in my heart. If you keep conspiring against Gary, don't blame me for being rude. Yeah, Gary was her eternal moon. And the original character? Just a childhood friend, overshadowed by a destined love. Before Gary, the original character and Tina were inseparable. Everyone thought they'd end up together. The original thought so too, pouring his heart into Tina. Until Gary reappeared. After his family went bankrupt, he slithered back, recalling Tina, his once unattainable crush. Having his unreachable desire right before him, Tina didn't hesitate, quickly ditching the original character. Their love was a wildfire until it burned out with a mutual understanding that a childhood friend stood in their midst. Tina, tired, reassured me, Harry, you're like a brother to me. But Gary, he's my true love. When she loved him, he was her everything. Clothes came off. When she didn't, she hid behind brotherly affection, stabbing at his conscience. Gary, worried Tina might waver, constantly defamed the original, setting up this kidnapping fiasco to make Tina hate him. Salty sea air whipped my face. Gary, channeling his Oscar-worthy skills, was teary-eyed and trembling. Tina, save me. Annoyed, I checked my watch again. It read 7:20. If I didn't fake my death soon, I'd miss my other villainous role. Honestly, I didn't mean for both deaths to happen on the same day. But a scheduling screw-up meant both were set for the same night, leaving me scrambling. When I first fell into this world, the system informed me, you're the villain in 2 stories. Successfully fake your death in both and you can go home. I protested. 1 job's enough to juggle and now I have 2? The voice in my head grew impatient. Staffing is short. Everyone must play at least 2 roles. Just be diligent and work overtime. I opened the scripts, realizing both were friend versus suitor tales. I'm the unlucky childhood friend. Does it make sense to play 2 different childhood friends? I questioned. What's unreasonable? You only need to fake your death. Once gone, who's to know you were multiple people's childhood friend? Sound advice. So in the first minutes in this world, realizing the timing clash, I clung to the car door as the kidnappers dragged me inside, crying out, I've got urgent business. Checking my watch, I pleaded, how about you wait here while I go fake my death in the other scene and come back for this kidnapping gig? See, your plot's dragging. The others quicker. They didn't care about my pleas, shoving me harder into the car. Desperate, I played my trump card. How much is Gary paying you? I'll give double. Just delay this kidnapping a few hours. The kidnapper paused, greedy. He promised us $1 million. How much will you pay? I found a crumpled $10 bill in my jeans. My bad. I placed the money back, willingly stepping into the van, even helping shut the door, yelling in frustration. Let's kidnap already. What's the holdup? Now, the kidnapper was still bargaining with Tina, trying to up the ransom from $1 to $2 million to pocket more cash. He's learned to put on a show. With the plot dragging, how would I complete my second death scene? Again, I eyed the surging sea below. Echoing waves filled the pause. Tina continued yelling. Harry, when will you stop? Is this kidnapping stunt of yours supposed to be fun? What makes you think you can compare to Gary? Taking a deep breath, my gaze steadied, ready for whatever came next. Tina's eyes are sharp, but there's a moment of softness when she looks at her first love, Gary. But all I want is to go home. No one can block my way back. I quietly step back. My lips move, and everyone hears the clear words. Tina, I know you never liked me. So from today on, act like you've never met me. With that, I took advantage of the kidnapper's surprise to push her away and jumped off the cliff without hesitation. I plunged into the rolling sea. In a daze, I hear two completely different, hysterical voices. No, Harry, don't jump. Weren't we just pretending to kidnap you? We're supposed to split the $1 million 50-50, right? I don't want to end up in jail. Waves keep crashing against my face, tossing me up and down in the dark water. Using all my strength, I swam madly for 20 miles and finally crawled onto the shore, soaking wet. A breeze made me shiver. Even in the middle of summer, clothes clinging to soaked skin can easily sap all the warmth from your body. I glanced at my watch again. 7:20. Not a single minute wasted. No time to think. I looked around, tossed aside my waterlogged phone that quit working, and grabbed a rusty, abandoned old bike from the corner. Grinding my teeth, I climbed on and put all my energy into pedaling the bike chain until sparks flew. The next scene for the villain is just a few dozen miles away. If I pedal a little faster, I might just make it to my next dramatic exit. Pedaling harder, my clothes dried off bit by bit. Finally, I arrived in front of a fancy hotel. The decor was opulent, and I could hear glasses clinking from the private rooms inside. This gleaming place made me look even more battered. Remembering the plot, I pushed open the door to the private room, letting light spill over me, pushing back the darkness. The chatter inside stopped, and everyone looked at me. Gina glanced at me with a frown and barked, Harry, who let you in here? Today, Gina was hosting a welcome party for her first love. Just a rich girl falling for the strong kid from the slums, leaving behind her childhood sweetheart despite her parents' objections. Gina's mom immediately threw in $50 million, making Simon grin as he ran off with the cash, saying, Gina, we're just not meant to be. I don't want to hold back your future, so I'm stepping out of this love story. Gina's fiery love was extinguished, leaving her like the walking dead until she finally returned to her old self. Harry, don't worry. I'll marry you for sure. The original owner thought he had weathered the storm to finally see Gina return. Too bad. Promises from women only hold in the moment. Once uttered, they just become empty words. Yesterday, the original owner returned, shattering the calm. Simon came back for a simple reason. He blew all that $50 million abroad, scammed out of his last penny. Even his plane ticket was borrowed money. The moment he got back, he wept in Gina's arms, sniveling, Gina, this past year abroad, I never forgot you. I think my whole life is tied to you. What a load of bull. Over there, he was living it up with 3 sugar mamas, forgetting all about her until they scammed him dry. Gina's repressed feelings for him exploded into a towering passion, defying her parents and leaving her childhood friend to commit to her first love. This welcome party today was specially set for Simon. Amid whispers, Simon's face twisted with confusion, but he clung tighter to Gina with a forced smile. Mr. G, I know you like Gina, but in love, the one who isn't loved is always the third wheel. Get it? The original scripted love story doesn't involve me. I don't have a single sincere emotion for her. But this dramatic exit has to be done. Next in the script, I should throw red wine on Simon and hysterically scream at Gina. We've known each other for years. You said you'd marry me. Why can't the childhood friend ever beat the new guy? The moment he appeared, I was gone from your eyes. I looked around. Where's the wine? The only thing left in the room was empty bottles. Clearly the party was wrapping up. I checked my watch. It still showed 7:20. I suddenly realized the watch had stopped ticking long ago, soaked by the sea. Now, as the party ended, here I was, arriving late. I cried as I pulled out the new phone from my rent apartment. The seller swore this 19.9 Rolex knockoff was genuine. It won't lose a tick even after hours underwater. The original owner was duped into buying it. It didn't skip ticks. It just quit ticking. My fingers flew, leaving my review. Tears rolled down my face. A 6-digit code protected a 2-digit balance. Losing 19.9 hurt. My heart bled. Maybe my tears were too hot. Or maybe the worn-out clothes I had just dried were too pathetic. People stared with pity, murmuring quietly. They say he really loved Gina. All the money she gave him was donated to an orphanage. He didn't keep a cent. Look at the shabby clothes he's wearing. Better than some who took 50 million and came crawling back. Gina was stunned for a moment. You donated all the money I gave you? I wiped my tears with an awkward smile. Gina transferred money to clear ties with her childhood friend. I just happened to donate it on the way here. With the plan to fake my death, the money here wouldn't follow me back to my own world. Might as well give it to those who need it. They probably found out so fast because the orphanage director made a thank you call to the company. Simon gritted his teeth. Since you're here today, I'd like to get your blessing as well. With that, he kindly reached out to pull me. As soon as he touched me, he suddenly fell backward. From behind, it seemed like I gave him a hard push. Simon fell to the ground, tears welling up, but he couldn't forget to throw dirt at me. Harry, I know you like Gina, but her heart only has room for me. Do you have to target me like this? Gina's guilt towards me vanished instantly, replaced by a worried concern as she helped Simon up. She turned to me, her voice sharp. Stubborn fool, we've just been childhood friends for over a decade. Who says I must marry you? Today, unless you jump from here, I won't give you another glance for the rest of my life. Simon's lips curled into the faintest of smiles. I was ecstatic. The storyline was running perfectly. According to it, a heartbroken me would stagger out of the welcoming party, and like a zombie, step into the road only to be hit and killed by a speeding truck. I could then successfully fake my death and return home. Home's happiness was calling out to me. My smile was harder to suppress than an AK. It was getting late, and the truck that should have hit me had likely sped out of the city. A misstep was a missed opportunity. Blame it on this 19.9 knockoff Rolex. Still, the fake death had to happen. Jumping down seemed like a decent alternative. Simon's party was on the top floor of a suite, high enough to feel the sharp wind cutting through the window. It was just about faking my death, so the means didn't matter. Without hesitation, I walked to the window. As I lifted my leg to climb out, I let out an ouch from the pain. Gina snickered behind me. Harry, I thought you had the guts to jump. Now you're just putting on a show for us? Simon laughed behind his hand. I know you're waiting for Gina to stop you, but this tactic is truly the lamest. Honestly, I just wanted to fake my death and get back home. Having swum 20 miles and biked another 20 kilometers just a while ago, my body was nearly falling apart. Even the simplest task of raising an arm was tough. Triathlons had nothing on me. My legs continuously quivered, yet I persisted and brought over a small stool, grit my teeth and climbed up. Out the window were countless lights, bright like forgotten pearls. Seeing Gina's sudden panic, I took a leap and mouthed to her, Gina, I'm heading home. The anticipated pain never came. Instead, I landed with a splash in a pool 2 floors below, water splashing high. This was my second plunge into water today. Failing to jump, drowning seemed like a worthy plan B. Just as I decided to sink and stop resisting, sharp-eyed security guards dove in, dragging me back to shore. Blinking groggily, I grumbled a thank you through gritted teeth. Gina, arriving moments later, dropped to her knees, trembling. Harry, how could you be so silly? Do you love me so much that you don't even want your life? I was utterly exhausted. Just before I passed out, only one thought lingered in my mind. Maybe don't push so hard next time. For a body that's been sedentary for ages, today's activity far exceeded an entire year's worth before. Every cell in my body screamed in pain. When I woke, the sight of blinding white filled my eyes. As I turned my head, Gina's delighted face came into view. Harry, you're awake? There was endless guilt and sympathy in her eyes. You're always like this. For the sake of loving me, you'd give up your life. I took your sincere heart for granted. Why did she think that? Only a fool would die for a woman. If I didn't need to fake my death to leave this world, I'd outlive her and dance on her grave, hosting a barbecue party. Gina seemed to recall past memories, a trace of nostalgia on her face. All these years, we were nearly inseparable, with you trailing behind me like a little tail. Everyone joked we were a perfect match made in heaven. But I was blind, unable to distinguish a pebble from a pearl. Then, a hint of resentment emerged on her face. Harry, did you know? During your hours of unconsciousness, one of the wealthy women Simon was involved with overseas came to the country. She claimed 2 others took 50 million, leaving her with nothing, not even an allowance. Gina's fury grew. He was being supported by 3 rich women at once. I was almost deceived by his facade. While he partied abroad, I wasted away in pain every day back home, and she glanced guiltily at me, even hurt you. I shivered. In this world, I was a malicious supporting character juggling 2 storylines. To Gina, I was a childhood friend grown up together, inseparable. But to Tina, wasn't I just a clingy nuisance forever buzzing in her vicinity? For convenience, the system combined both books into one. Originally, once I faked my demise, these old stories would remain unspoken. But here I was, alive and kicking. If these 2 heroines ever crossed paths, how on earth would I explain my dual childhoods with each of them? I shivered again. Gina, noticing my discomfort, tucked in the blanket. Too cold? She asked. I got you the hospital's priciest VIP room. Recalling something, a hint of annoyance flashed across her face. There were only 2 top VIP rooms, and the other was taken by someone named Tina. To top it off, her secretary flaunted their money, trying to book the entire floor. It's just about money, isn't it? Our family never lacked funds. I made sure you got this room. I heard that VIP neighbor Tina was coughing up blood, shouting something about jumping into the sea and salvage operations. She's really lost it. I totally zoned out from her nonsense. My brain was working fast. The only plan now to avoid any future drama was to fake my death soon. I pulled myself together and came up with a quick excuse to send Gina away. I'm hungry, I said. Gina nodded immediately. All right, I'll order takeout right away. I frowned. I didn't want takeout. She seemed to finally get it. I'll have the chef prepare something and deliver it. I thought to myself, this person can't understand human language, can she? Don't you think it'd be more meaningful if you cooked yourself? She nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, I'll make sure the chef cooks it personally. No pre-made stuff. I decided to be straightforward. I want to eat what you personally make. Gina's eyes filled with tears. She looked at me contentedly and playfully tapped my nose. Harry, you always cooked for me before. There was once you said you really wanted to taste my cooking. I never fulfilled that wish. Today, I'll make sure to prepare a feast of dishes you love. She was lost in a gentle memory, but I felt nothing. I didn't have the original owner's memories. When I first opened the private room door, if it weren't for Gina annoyedly asking, "What are you doing here?" I would have had no idea who she was in that crowded room. Feeling there was a breakthrough in our relationship, Gina left the room happily and reminded me not to move around too much. I impatiently shook my head when she left, quickly tossing aside the covers and getting out of bed. The hospital windows only opened a narrow crack, enough for just an arm. Dying here might accidentally injure innocent doctors, so I dropped that idea and decided to fall back on my old plan. Jump into the sea. The sky was still pitch black, with only the soft glow of the hospital lights coming through the windows. I silently opened the VIP room door. My room was at the end, and not far away was Tina's room. I crept to the door and heard frantic shouting inside. No way. How can we not find him? He can't be dead. He's definitely not dead. Keep searching, no matter the cost. We need to see him, dead or alive. The voice was familiar, but I couldn't recall from where. My time here was too short. It was hard to distinguish all these voices. A slightly calmer voice was trying to comfort. Tina, it's been a whole night. We've searched countless times and still can't find a body. Going further would mean heading into international waters. Even if there were a body, it would have been devoured by fish by now. The frantic cries turned to a suppressed sob. It's my fault. I never trusted him. I got him killed. I thought those robbers were his doing. But they weren't. We've known each other since childhood. I know him well. How could I think he'd do such a thing? He couldn't live without my love. That's why he wanted to die. I sighed to myself. It sounded like a tragic story. As a passerby, I could only hope Tina would find her lover's body on the high seas. Turning the doorknob, I silently slipped out from the top-floor VIP room. Just as I disappeared behind the door, I thought I heard Tina's heartbreaking cry. I think I saw Harry's silhouette. It must be his ghost come looking for me because he loved me so much. With the sky gradually brightening, a pale blue hue washed over the world. Following the salty sea breeze, I finally stumbled my way to the stone bridge by the sea. The morning sea waves were calm, gently rolling over themselves. My once calm heart began to stir. I was finally going home. Before coming to this world, I had family and a lover. A sudden car accident shattered my peaceful life. Then a system approached me with a deal. You help me with the fake death tasks in small worlds, and I'll give you back your life, letting you return to your original world. How about that? It was a win-win for me. I eagerly accepted. Though the fake death had some twists and turns, I was about to use my wit to realign the story. My body ached more after resting overnight. Pain surged through me as I struggled to lift legs that no longer felt like mine. Like an awkward bear, I clumsily climbed over the bridge railing. Just as I was about to jump into the churning sea, a pair of hands pulled me back. Gina's voice trembled with fear. Harry, what are you doing? I'm done with living, can't you tell? I snapped. She held me close, trembling intensely. Don't leave me. I know I was wrong. I promise never to abandon you again. Never to believe anything Simon says. I thought you really wanted my cooking. Halfway there, I remembered you'd been hungry all night and went to get you something to tide you over. She sobbed and couldn't continue. I finished her sentence in my mind. Had she not returned, I'd already be waking up in my world, eating my mom's home-cooked meal. The waterlogged watch was stuck at 7:20, frozen in time. I pushed her away, irritated, trying to think of another way to fake my death. Behind me came an incredulous wail. Harry, who is she? The system once said that if I faked my death earlier, no one would notice I was playing two roles. It never mentioned what to do if I didn't do it in time and ended up in a confrontation. I turned around with effort, stared at the unfamiliar face, and instinctively said, "Who are you?" Tina looked like she couldn't handle the continuous blows, stumbling back a step. Her eyes were bloodshot. Harry, don't you remember me? It's Tina. Oh, now I remember. This is Tina. When I saw her last night, the sun had long set, and her face was hidden in the darkness. I didn't recall her features. In the daylight, I failed to recognize her at first. Tears welled up in Tina's eyes as she gathered her courage to take my hand. I thought I was seeing things at the hospital, but I went out and looked again, and it's really you. Harry, I messed up. That kidnapper was someone Gary hired. They planned to split the ransom. I shouldn't have accused you without knowing the truth. That was my mistake. She looked hopefully into my calm eyes. Can you forgive me? No, not unless we split the money 3 ways. Why should I be left out after everything I did? Before I could speak up about the unfair share, Gina jumped in front of me and snapped. Harry and I grew up together. Who do you think you are, trying to take him away from me? Tina laughed coldly, as if she'd heard something ridiculous. Your childhood friend? Harry and I grew up together. We were inseparable. How could he be yours? I was at a loss, wanting to break up their argument. The real issue wasn't about whose childhood friend I was. I needed to disappear quickly. Time waits for no one, and every day I stay here, my family worries more in the real world. But as I tried to raise my arm, pain shot through me, and I winced. Tina, concerned, held my arm. Harry, are you hurt? I casually replied, no injury, just tired from last night. Waking up sore today, like I'm falling apart. I wasn't lying. Swimming 20 miles, then biking 20 kilometers could do that to you. But every word seemed to drive Tina more hysterical. As I finished talking, Tina suddenly slapped Gina, yelling angrily, "You took advantage of Harry last night when you saved him. He's my childhood friend." The two women were tearing into each other, not holding back. If things kept going like this, they'd be done before I even got a chance. Tina started getting the upper hand, so I threw myself onto Gina, shouting at her, "If you're so tough, then just kill me first. Anything to disappear regardless of how." If Tina was losing, I'd have done the same for her and shouted at Gina. But Tina looked shocked, overcome, her rage replaced by disbelief. Harry, you're defending her? Have you forgotten our 18 years together? Gina grinned triumphantly, wiping a bit of blood from her lip. Of course Harry's on my side. We've been together for 20 years. Are you dreaming, thinking you can claim him as your childhood friend? I turned and slapped Gina hard. Seriously? Can't even win a fight, you useless fool. I flagged a cab, leaving both of them behind, heading back to the place where I was supposed to stay. Originally, Tina and Gina's childhood friends weren't the same person. But to make things easier, the system merged their roles bluntly. Here I was, in a small rented room, feeling like a swaying blade of grass. With the task to disappear left, the system's merge was plain and simple. In the spacious rented room, I stared at a pile of photos. Half the albums were photos of me and Tina, where I seemed eager to please, next to her aloof expression. The other half were with Gina, where I'm smiling and she's reluctantly frowning. All tokens of our childhood were sorted into two boxes. It was like I was this disaster, split in half, and each girl awkwardly took one part. I massaged my aching head, trying to reach out to the system. System, if you merge these stories so sloppily, what if someone notices? The system replied with a glance. Just hurry up and disappear, then no one will remember you. Once the heroines pair up happily with the destined one, no one will care whose childhood friend you were. Its blunt advice to hurry up and vanish was welcome. So I tossed everything related to Tina and Gina into the nearby trash bins. Each one almost filled to the brim. I was about to climb the 5-story building to jump when my conscience made me stop. The property market is bad enough without me dropping its value with a jump. At the complex's gate, Tina and Gina were arguing as they drove up. I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. Clearly, Harry is my childhood friend. You're just spinning fantasies about knowing him for 18 years. Please, facing facts, you've got the wrong person. I grew up with Harry. Everyone knows it, except a delusional you. They nearly started again but saw me standing by the trash bins. I hurriedly closed the lids. It was all photos of us with them. I'd never be able to explain that one. Tina rushed over first, pulling my hand. Harry, come home with me. You shouldn't be in a place like this. It's not safe with too many people around. Her words were pointed. I'm worried some people might be filling your ears with lies. Gina balled her fists, ready to argue again. I was getting tired of it. Fight? Dude, I haven't eaten in a day and a night. I'm about ready to dumpster dive for food. Instead of fighting, how about buying me something to eat? I donated all my money. The only bill I had went to cab fare. Now I'm completely broke. Gina and Tina seemed eager to impress me, racing off to buy me food. As they drove away, I slowly walked out of the neighborhood. The beach was my end goal, the path I had to take to get home. It was just getting light and there weren't many people around. I had barely walked a few steps out of the area when a van pulled up next to me on a section with a broken camera, and someone quickly shoved me inside. I squinted and hesitantly greeted, "Hey there, Fancy seeing you again." The van screeched to a halt. The driver turned around, recognized me, and lost his cool. "Not you again. I'm just trying to make some cash quick. Why is it so hard?" As he ranted, I offered him a bottled water from the corner. "Relax, I promise I'll really be out of the picture this time." The water went straight back out as he spat it. Then he looked at me in shock. "That's not what my client said. He wanted me to fake kidnapping you and split the ransom from Tina." "I don't remember faces well. How does this keep happening with you?" He quickly released the handbrake and opened the door. "Get out, I'm not doing this job. I don't want to go to prison for a few bucks." I realized it was Gary. His family went bankrupt, he's desperate for cash. Last night's kidnapping setup was just like this, all about the money. I held onto the door, refusing to leave. "No way, we agreed on kidnapping. You can't just back out now," I insisted. The kidnapper looked even more stressed than me. "What did I do in a past life to deserve this? My main gig is an online store selling watches, but I got this bad review last night." The guy threatened suicide over the quality when he spent only 19.9. My store's rating tanked, and I got no orders. I let go of the door, awkwardly pulled out my phone, and canceled the bad review right in front of him. "Guys, the watch is great. Just today it started ticking again. Only 19.9 shipped," I teased, waving the phone at him. He looked at me, conflicted. "That's misleading." Changing the subject, I asked, "Can we get on with the kidnapping now? I'm on a tight schedule for a fake death." Suddenly, he looked past me with concern. "Looks like we're both becoming hostages." We were both taken hostage by a woman with pretty features but a fierce demeanor, and brought to an abandoned factory. There I saw Simon, hands tied. One night, and he looked way worse off, fearfully shaking his head at the woman. "Maria, all the money's gone. Kidnapping me won't help." Their conversation filled me in. Simon had been living large abroad, supported by 3 wealthy women, Maria being one of them. But a scam left him and Maria broke, which brought her back to get her money from him. Instead, he made me part of the hostage situation, hoping Gina would pay up. Maria was crazy, holding gas and a lighter, threatening to take us all down if she didn't get cash. Simon was trembling, teeth chattering in fear. "I was your lapdog for a year, and you can't pull together 1 penny?" she screamed. "One way or another, I'll get my money today." When she looked at us and said she'd rather kill me and play with the 2 pretty boys, the watch dealer snapped. "Why kill me and keep them? I should be the one to stay," she protested. "That's just prejudice." Maria was raging, about to hit the watch dealer, when sirens blared outside. In came the police along with Tina and Gina. Maria warned us, holding the lighter up, ready to ignite the place. The gas smell was overpowering, the place a tinderbox. "Move in and we all go up," she screamed. The police moved us back, while Tina and Gina refused to leave, struggling towards us. "Harry, hold on. I'll save you no matter what. You can have whatever you want, just don't hurt Harry." All I saw was the lighter. Even the small flicker felt dangerous. Maria pulled me closer as a bargaining chip. "You've got to give me 5 million. Transferred abroad. Do it and I'll let him go." Trapped, I signaled the watch dealer to escape with Simon. "Get him out of here. I promise to give your store glowing reviews." She was motivated by my words and quickly dragged the wobbly Simon towards the exit as Maria let her guard down. But her deranged anger escalated, fueled by feeling provoked. Maria waved the lighter wildly, screaming, and looking downright terrifying. "Hurry up and get the money ready." The lighter slipped from her hand by accident. The pale blue flame went nuts as soon as it hit the gasoline. I'm a task doer. When death really hits, you don't feel any pain. I guess that's an extra perk from the system. Flames quickly spread everywhere, and in no time, the closed space was engulfed in scorching fire. In those few seconds before the explosion, I think I saw the fear and desperation on Tina and Gina's faces, and their bodies trying to break free from the cops to rush over. I tore open my throat and shouted the last sentence with every bit of strength I had. "Run! This place is about to blow." I couldn't feel the pain or the heat, only a deafening boom. In my head, a loud crash, and then everything in front of me shattered in an instant. There was a dull sound, like it was coming through a thick curtain of water into my ears. The patient's heartbeat is back. I snapped my eyes open, hearing the beeping of machines around me. On the white wall in front of me was a clock. The minute hand sat quietly at the 4. It was 7:20 p.m. It hit me then that's the time I got into a car accident in the real world. I was hit and died on the spot, and time froze forever. After I ended up in that book, the time on my wristwatch and phone always showed 7:20. Even my 19.9 Rolex, which didn't get soaked in seawater, stayed stuck at 7:20, not moving an inch. I stared at the clock ahead, ticked forward, hitting 7:21. A whole 24 hours had passed since my accident. I let out a sigh of relief as the system left a parting note in my ear. The host has completed the fake death mission, 1 real life granted as a reward. The doctor's excited voice came through. When he came in yesterday, his heart stopped. We didn't think we could save him, but his will to survive was so strong he got his heartbeat back after the surgery. The family can come in to see him now. I felt a warm hand on my forehead, and I turned my face with effort. There were my mom's tear-swollen eyes, her cracked lips trying to speak. "Mom, I'm all right now." My mom held back her tears, nodding vigorously. A worried-looking girl held back her concern and quietly asked, "Harry, are you feeling okay?" I grinned. "I'm fine, nothing bothering me." In the book world, I shared the name Harry with a male character. But in my world, I was engaged to my childhood sweetheart, the girl next door. Who says childhood friends can't beat a charming new arrival? We stayed true to ourselves all along. I flashed a sly smile, half serious, half joking. "I dreamt someone told me if I completed my task, I'd resurrect to see you again." The girl next door held my hand and tapped my nose. "How'd the task go?" I recalled the explosion before I woke, the intense flames shooting up, engulfing everyone. Confidently, I replied, "I nailed it. Now that my part's done, Tina and Gina will have their happily ever after, just like the book says." And to keep up appearances, I dumped everything about them in the trash bins downstairs. Since there was too much, Tina got her own trash can, and Gina took over another. Once the garbage truck clears them out, all traces will be gone. It should be quite perfect. Tina's epilogue. Even when Harry was dying, he didn't forget to tell us to get out quickly. I know he's always been crazy about me. Even in his final moments, he wanted me out of harm's way. What's laughable is, after the blast, the girl Gina next to me was wailing and trying to run back in. She kept yelling loudly, "Harry, I won't live without you." 20 years of growing up together. No one could tear us apart. The cops did everything to hold her back. So ridiculous, even now she's dreaming about her fairy tale with Harry. I wiped my face. Not a tear came out. Knowing Harry for 18 years felt like meeting him for the very first time. He left a vibrant mark on my life and vanished in an instant. If only I had believed in him and stayed by his side. We might have been the ones getting engaged now. I'm filled with regret. Burning regret sears through my nerves. The scene got sealed off and cops dispersed everyone. I was in a daze driving to Harry's apartment. The 5th floor window was pitch black. The boy living here was never coming back. I lost him. My long-held tears fell slowly, overwhelming me with delayed emotion. In my blurred vision, a picture caught my eye, lying quietly beside a trash bin. With trembling hands, I picked it up. On the thin photo paper, Harry smiled brightly, eyes shining, his arm around someone. Leaning into them, love shone clearly. That someone was Gina. I suddenly couldn't breathe, like someone had a grip on my throat. How could Harry and Gina have such a close photo? My hands and legs began trembling. Standing up, I opened the trash bin near the photo. Inside were filled frames, diaries, and tons of guys' stuff and couple items. I must be seeing things. Every photo was of Harry and Gina together, from their childhood to maturity. Even the couple's mugs had both their pictures. My legs buckled, and I crumpled to the ground, my palm cut by the broken glass of a frame. My assistant, following close, helped me up, worriedly calling out, "Tina." My mind went blank. I grabbed a diary from the trash without thinking. It was filled with a boy's deepest thoughts. I've been friends with Gina since we were kids, and then one day, out of the blue, love just bloomed between us. Then everything changed. Conversations became awkward and filled with sourness. Turns out Harry and Gina really were childhood sweethearts. I can't believe it. How did this happen? He was supposed to be my childhood buddy. So why are there only sweet memories of him with Gina? The world spun. My assistant caught me anxiously. Tina, let's go back. I resisted leaving. She had no choice but to call for help. Take everything in this trash can. Actually, just take the whole trash can to Tina's place. Someone asked, what about the other trash cans? Another replied, are you crazy? We only need things from this one. The rest are just trash. I sat in my empty house, going through every moment of Harry and Gina's past. My tears came, dried, and came again. The night turned to day and then back to night. I couldn't tell how long it took to go through all the photos and diaries. When I closed the last diary, I realized I couldn't cry anymore. Where is my Harry? He has all these memories with Gina. So where's the Harry from my memories? I'm the one who grew up with him. I tore through the villa looking for any trace of him, only to remember Gary threw out all of Harry's belongings when we moved in. I lost the boy who loved me the most. Staggering to my feet, everything went black. I woke up in the hospital. I stayed there from the scorching summer till early autumn's cool breeze. When I left, wearing baggy clothes. Harry's been gone for so long. He's never visited my dreams even once. I heard Gary found another rich suitor. I was blind back then, trading my childhood friend for someone new. I stubbornly cut Harry and Gina's photos, leaving only his smile on my wall. I refused to believe Harry was Gina's childhood friend. We grew up together. He has filled most of my life. Gina must have plotted something. I'm going to take down Gina's family, retaliate against her for coveting him. Gina's epilogue. The first night after Harry passed, I went to his place. The house was tidy, yet I wandered aimlessly. Why isn't there a trace of me here? Our photos and everything we bought together were gone. The house seemed lifeless. I went downstairs, hearing a man yelling nearby. Who the heck steals trash cans? Leaving just 4 out of 5. How do I explain this to my boss? I glanced at the trash cans, and it froze my blood. Under the moonlight, a shiny frame lay in the open trash can. It was a photo of Harry and Tina. I lunged for it, ignoring the mess. Harry looked genuinely happy, a smile I hadn't seen in years. The trash can was half filled with frames and even women's clothes. Each photo captured Harry growing from a naive boy to a 22-year-old. This has to be Tina photoshopping everything. She's had a crush on Harry and edited these photos to fulfill her fantasy. I clung to that excuse, asking someone to take the trash can home. The women's clothes? Tina must have left them on purpose. Disgusted, I stomped on them. The man was still cursing as I left. Out of 5 trash cans, now there's only 3. You jerks can't keep stealing them right in front of me. On the 3rd day after Harry died, I received his ashes. Not all of them. The explosion was so intense, there wasn't much left. The police did a DNA test to hand me this small amount. Harry was an orphan, so I buried him in a cemetery. But I had nothing of his. I destroyed him and Tina's photos, burned that disliked face of hers into ashes. I pasted Harry's photos into an album. It's all I have left. I'd cruelly cut off ties with Harry when I chose Simon, even trashing Harry's things to prove our split. But I regretted it deeply, drowning my sorrow in alcohol. I lost the boy who loved me the most. Even as he lay dying, he called for me to leave. Now, the cemetery is my sanctuary. A month after his death, I visited to find a simple bouquet of yellow chrysanthemums and a watch. I picked it up. It was a Rolex, genuine and expensive. I didn't dwell on whose watch it was. Tina had started attacking Gina's family. Before I could act, she struck first. Even if it meant mutual destruction, I was set on ruining Tina's business. After that, I'd slash my prices to snatch her clients, even at a loss. Both businesses collapsed rapidly. Within 3 years, they tumbled down. Soon, I heard Tina jumped into the sea. When they retrieved her, she was unrecognizable. After holding on so tightly for years, I finally exhaled, downing the last of my drink. The world spun as I fell. In that moment, I saw a lively Harry beside me. Desperate to touch him, I heard him chuckle. "Hi, do you know Tina? I'm her childhood buddy, Harry." My hand dropped lifelessly, silent once more.